Kourtney Kardashian's ex, Scott Disick, has told Kim his fears that he will start drinking again when KUWTK ends. Welcome back to Binge-Worthy Network. We are just a few episodes away from saying goodbye to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and it looks like the cast and the stars of the show are not taking it well either. Here is why Scott Disick is afraid he will start drinking again once the show wraps up. But before we jump in, hit that like and subscribe button to be notified and updated on the latest Hollywood drama and news. Ever since the Kardashian-Jenner clan announced the final season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, the whole fandom has been on edge, not wanting to say goodbye to the iconic reality TV show. The news first broke out in early September of 2020 after sisters Kim, Khloe, Kourtney, and Kris Jenner shared announcements on Instagram. The reality TV stars disclosed, "It is with heavy hearts that we've made the difficult decision as a family to say goodbye to Keeping Up with the Kardashians." After what will be 14 years, 20 seasons, hundreds of episodes, and numerous spin-off shows, we are beyond grateful to all of you who have watched us for all of these years, through the good times, the bad times, the happiness, the tears, and the many relationships and children. We'll forever cherish the wonderful memories and countless people we've met along the way. Thank you to the thousands of individuals and businesses that have been a part of this experience, and most importantly, a very special thank you to Ryan Seacrest for believing in us, E for being our partner, and our production team at Bun & Murray who has spent countless hours documenting our lives. Our last season will air early next year in 2021. As soon as the news was announced, the family began discussing how hard it was to say goodbye to the cast and the crew of the reality TV show. A couple of days later, Kris Jenner went on to speak to the executive producer Ryan Seacrest about the ultimate decision to end the show. "We had to tell the crew yesterday, so we were all crying, but I think Khloe is probably the one who was taking it the hardest and really hasn't stopped crying since we announced it. She's been so sweet and just emotional about it." Kris Jenner continued to reveal how there is one Kardashian-Jenner sister who is still crying over the cancellation news and why the family decided to stop at season 20. "But I think Khloe is probably the one who's taking it the hardest and really hasn't stopped crying since we announced it. She's been so sweet and just emotional about it. I think the number 20 used to sound good until, 2020, but the number 20 just seemed like the right time, I think, for us to take a minute and breathe and everybody slow down a bit, figure out what our next steps are. We've had such an amazing run, and we're so grateful for every single moment and everyone we worked with." Ryan Seacrest then went on to expose his side as well, talking about how he and Kris had decided to talk over the show's future. Here is what the former American Idol presenter had to say. "I almost feel like I'm family with her, and she is truly an amazing partner and I think one of the savviest business people on the planet. Think about how she manages family and how she manages an incredible empire. It's no small task, and she has really propelled that franchise and those businesses into what they are today." Kris Jenner and I spoke over the weekend that the decision was being made, and she had told me how difficult it was for them to come to the conclusion that something that was so magical for their family and for their brand and their businesses was probably ready for its last chapter. I understood it. It is a lot to ask to have cameras in your lives for 13 years. I think they knew what they were getting into, but then again, who could have imagined what it would become? I knew that day was going to come at some point, and I really believe it was a tough decision that they went back and forth about. And then I think over a Saturday night, they came to the conclusion that this was the right time, being the 20th season. And while the cast and crew may be feeling very sad and heartbroken about the show's ending, there is one star of Keeping Up with the Kardashians that may experience the finale in a bad way. And who's that star, you may wonder? Well, it's none other than Kourtney Kardashian's ex-boyfriend, Scott Disick. And here's why the father of three is afraid he'll go back to drinking once Keeping Up with the Kardashians wraps up filming. In early May of 2021, KUWTK shared a clip of Kim opening up to her sister Kourtney about why Scott is so scared of the show ending. Kim stated how Disick thinks the family will stop seeing each other once the camera crew stops filming the show. Kim told her sister, "I feel like he feels like maybe as a family, we're going to be gone if we're not scheduled to all meet up. Think about all the times he's had big change. It hasn't been positive for him, so maybe he's scared that he feels like, what if I have nothing to do and I get so restless, and that was giving me something to do? And what if I start drinking, or what if I start this or that? You know, I can only imagine. I know that we are Scott's only family." Then Kourtney Kardashian decided to share her point of view. He feels insecure about not being able to spend time with the whole family now that the show is ending. "I think he wants to make sure that we're all going to see each other when we're not filming, and I want to make sure that he knows we will always be in each other's lives." If you've been following and keeping up with the reality TV family, then it's no surprise that both Kim and Kourtney are somewhat concerned about Scott Disick and his mental health. The father of three has been very open about his past substance abuse issues and even his rehab clinic visits. While the fans were well aware of Scott's drinking habits, the world was shocked to see that he's still on a rocky road even after his rehab visits. Just recently, sources began opening up to online publications and magazine tabloids about how Scott is handling the show's ending and how the COVID-19 pandemic and the quarantine had influenced his substance abuse issues. The sources candidly shared about why Scott decided to finally seek help in 2020 after bouts of cocaine abuse. He voluntarily checked himself in because he knew he needed help. He will get the help he needs and stay as long as he needs to. He mentioned trouble with his ex and said he's also having trouble with his children and he's been taking cocaine and drinking a lot. He was doing really well just a few weeks ago, so everyone is shocked. Everyone thought he had changed. Those that remember, back in April of 2020, the father of 3 decided to seek out proper help and treatment in the Colorado Rehabilitation Clinic. But to everyone's surprise and shock, a couple of days later, Scott's personal information and rehab secrets were leaked online. According to sources and Kourtney Kardashian herself, there was one member of staff who had secretly recorded private conversations between Scott and his doctors. Disick was staying at the Colorado treatment facility when his information was shared with the world. As you may know, there are binding confidentiality rules and laws between doctors, physicians, and healthcare professionals and their patients. This means whatever the patient tells their caregiver and doctor, they can't legally tell anyone else. Unless the patient confesses to being harmful to themselves or someone else, healthcare professionals have no rights or authority to disclose private information. Scott's leaked photos and private conversations are a direct violation of physician-patient rules. The rehab leak was so shocking and noteworthy that it was even later covered on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. In a heartbreaking episode, we saw how the entire family was blindsided by the leak. But what makes this situation even more mysterious and shocking is the fact that a close family friend may have been behind this scandal. Yes, for months people have been speculating who is actually behind Scott Disick's recent rehab stay drama. While Kourtney and the Colorado facility staff say it was one of the employees, die-hard Kardashian-Jenner fans thought Larsa Pippen was the culprit behind the leak. And why did these viewers point the finger at Kim's ex? Well, because Scott said himself he had never been so betrayed in his life. So, from this statement, it's not so crazy to think that a former Kardashian-Jenner pal was behind the leak. And the public agrees as well. Taking their thoughts to Twitter, fans stated, Scott Disick goes for rehab privately. The media leaks photos of him at rehab. Scott leaves rehab. The media needs to leave people alone when they are taking a big step in their lives. It's disgusting. I hope Scott is able to get the help he needs. We know someone leaked Scott Disick's rehab stay, but could Larsa Pippen be the guilty party, and could that explain her falling out with the Kardashians? And so, it's not so surprising to see Scott worry about the future of the family and his mental state after KUWTK wraps up filming. Because if there is one family Scott fully trusts, it's the Kardashian-Jenner clan. For so long, the show has been like a rock for the reality TV dad. And knowing he will always need support from the siblings, we can't help but feel bad for Scott Disick being anxious about Keeping Up with the Kardashians coming to an end. But what do you think? Do you think Larsa Pippen was behind the leak? What would you do in Scott Disick's place? Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like. And don't forget to turn on your post notifications and share this video with your friends. Goodbye, everyone.